Nets got James Harden. We talked about this before about the effects of the media on sports and how certain media figures can make assumptions about basketball players and what they're going through. We can't lie. When James Harden came back to the Houston Rockets, there was a lot of talks about his unhappiness with the team, with the management. And when he came back, he looked like he was eating nothing but the Filipino crawfish that they have down there in Houston. All right, this brother was big. He looked husky. It looked like he grew his beard out, but it was really his face. It was really his face in a dark shadow. Now, with that being said, you have a lot of people talk about his name in the media. You have a lot of people basically condescend upon him, like, oh, James Harden's not this, James Harden's not that. He's dedicated to the team. He sends out some shots on social media. It keeps on persisting, keeps on persisting. He goes, listen, I don't know how I can fix this. It's unfixable at this point. I don't know what to do. Next day, he gets traded to the Nets in a blockbuster trade. Sends Karis LeVert to the Pacers, which they find out he has a mass on his kidney, so prayers up to him. Sends Victor Oladipo to the Houston Rockets, and the brother balled out last night. He did pretty good. And the Nets get rid of everybody, all their picks. Jared Allen is gone as well. And now the Nets have James Harden. Now he's there, and he looks happy. He looks fresh, and he looks like he's going to strive. Now, they say this is the league's new big three, but you can't have a big three if all three of them aren't there. And for some reason, ever since the Capitol, Kyrie Irving went missing. Now, this is another thing on this show that I don't like when people persist that they know what's going down. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know what's going on? Oh, Kyrie Irving, he just disappears because he's going through a move, this, and that. We don't know. Now, I'm going to ask y'all, for these last 2 weeks, he's been gone. He hasn't been here. He hasn't been around. Hasn't been around the team. If a player from your organization is missing without any heads up, what do you do?
All right, so if I'll go by.
If you own the team,
if I own the team and I don't know where he is, especially as one of the like, I'm gonna be if I was Steinbrenner and Aaron Judge just hasn't shown up. What do I think happened? Honestly, I would think he's probably dead. I would think that as an owner, if I haven't heard from the player that I pay millions and millions and millions of dollars to, I put foot on his table and he hasn't shown up, I would think that he's either dead or doing something shady. And it's like, I'll be honest, probably thinks he's dead. I would think he's dead. I would think the guy's dead. And I had to go have a search party and go figure out what's going on. If I am clueless. What do you think, Peter?
I haven't really looked into the... Oh, you're saying... Okay.
What if you were the president? What if you're the GM of the Islanders and your captain's gone, hasn't shown up? You don't know why.
Like physically showing up.
Yes, Peter.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing the Nets. They know where he is. They say he's expected to return Wednesday.
That's not the question. He's asking you what you would.
He just showed up.
I get to the bottom. I get to the bottom of the situation.
Hold on, I'll get you. He just showed up yesterday. All right, there was a 2-week hiatus. Basically from since the Capitol got stormed, he didn't show up to any games. No one knew where he was. He didn't have any contact with Steve Nash initially. He didn't know where he was. He was gone. Now he showed up for practice yesterday. And now he's expected to play against the Cavs. I think tomorrow. So I'm saying, as an owner, if you own the team and one of your star players doesn't show up, how do you react? What do you do? What do you think?
I definitely get to the bottom of it. I'd reach out to him any way possible, or have someone else do it. Maybe if I'm the owner, have the GM or maybe the coach if it gets that bad, do it. So, I mean, okay, good. I just get to the bottom of it, and if I know that they're okay, and let's say maybe personal stuff is happening, that's definitely happening.
I would have really tried to replace him, even though you really can't replace him. But I would have tried making moves. Because if you're going to tell me that I don't know where you are in the last 2 weeks and I pay you all this money, and you're one of the best players on my team and you just don't show up, then you're out of a job.
This is what it is, man. I totally agree. Now, I don't like to speculate on what happens, but here's how I view it. Kyrie Irving is the basketball player that has had history of not showing up, that has had history of his name being in the media for being very emotional when it comes to not being the man, playing it within the shadow of LeBron. He's not the man, so he goes up to Boston to do so, and then in some games he doesn't show up if he doesn't feel like it. So you bring him to the Nets. He's homegrown. He has an attachment to the team because, he grew up in Jersey. and you think he's going to show up, and then he doesn't show up. So what do? How do you react? And I think it kind of behooves the media to people and people who analyze him to automatically assume that he's gone for a specific reason. We don't know his personal life, and I do commend him to a certain point where he said there's more to life than basketball. I get that, and I think he's alluding to everything going around in the world, like with the Capitol and with Black Lives Matter. The only thing I would have a problem with it, I commend that. Like, you don't think basketball is more important than life. I get that. I totally agree. If I'm paying you all that money, like you said, Austin, you gotta at least holler at me before you bounce, so I know where you at. Because if I'm your coach and you don't show up to practice, I text you and you don't text me back. What does that show? You still have a commitment to all those 11 guys, other 11 guys on the team to show up in practice. They depend on you. So let me know what you're going through. And two, if you want to have all this activism, like he bought George Floyd's family a house, that's good. That's great. But if you need some time for reflection, you still need to do that within the realm of the team. Like, you get it. Like, if I lost a family member, right? I can't just say, yo, guys, I'm calling out from work. I lost my grandma. Oh, sorry to hear that. I call out from work, but I take an extra 2 weeks off. It's like, yo, did you bury grandma last week? Yeah, I did, but I'm still.
And you also told them a reason. Well, the thing is too, it's like
a reason, but it's like me staying out for 2 weeks. Talking about, I need a period of reflection to think about life without my grandma. No, you don't.
It's like
those packages.
And it sucks because as a GM, if you know that he's reflecting on life about a BLM, about what happened in the Capitol, he wants to go do all this activism. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna say to him? Hey, why don't you stop being a good person and go do what I paid you for?
That's the thing. He said,
like, how can you do that?
He's going through personal family issues. If it's a personal family issue, I'm not going to even comment on that because that's what he deals with. But he kind of made it seem like he was being privy to the actions and to the events happening in the world around him, and he needed to pay attention to it. My only question is, if you're taking time off, are you doing it to be active? Like, are you starting a GoFundMe for people?
Yeah.
Or what do you do? Or do you need a period of reflection for yourself? And if that's the case, you still need to do that being a part of the basketball team.
Wait, what would you?
Go ahead.
What would you do if you were what would you do if you were a director of a play and your main character just didn't show up for any of the plays?
Well, I'm the director of a play. First off, wait, Jair's calling real quick.
It's always great with Jair.
We're live on the podcast real quick. Jair's gonna come. Jair's gonna comment from the inventory delivery van of
Trader
Joe's. So let's just talk to him real quick. What do you got to say to the people, Jai? Yes. Oh, okay.
Man.
Listen, let's get a daily quote from Jair real quick. We're talking about Kyrie Irving, how he has been absent for the last 2 weeks. What do you think about that?
Listen, Kyrie Irving. He's on the
Next. Stop bringing up the old heads. I told you need to update your roster, okay?
There's a new basketball game every year.
12 and get caught up.
Every year, there's a new basketball game. There's two.
Kyrie Irving hasn't showed up for the Nets organization for the last 2 weeks. If you're an owner, what do you do? Okay, you know what, Jair, goodbye. Jair, goodbye. Jair, goodbye.
I told you to stop getting him on this because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Wait, so just summarize what Jair said. It was a little hard to hear.
He just said if Kyrie Irving's not going to show up, you need to get Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett back. You need to have the old head.
Yeah, we're going to go to the old folks' home and grab them. Yeah, perfect. What would you do? I was saying about being a director and your main actor didn't show up.
I would reach out to them. And I think what's very keen about this whole thing is having a connection with your talent, with your player, with your actor. This is defined more in college sports, I think, because, a lot of coaches care about the academics of their players
we got
too.
14 minutes.
We're about to end right now. We're about to end. It causes you to care about more than just the player. So you care about their academics and you care about their family, about where they're coming from. You got to have the connection with the actor. You have to have the connection on a personal level. We can leave all that other stuff behind, the play stuff behind, and we can talk about it man to man, woman to woman, person to person, whatever. So that's what I'm doing. I'm calling, but if they're not showing up, I'm getting understudy. And when they do come back, there has to be some type of repercussion. And I get it if it's a personal issue of Kyrie Irving or a family issue. I get that. But if it's just a period of reflection for you to stabilize yourself, the brother's very spiritual. He burns sage before a game, like he's about to be at a luau. Yes, he does. He burns sage in the TD Garden Arena. Yeah, man. I think it's just like. There has to be some type of
from a fan perspective. You're probably like, all right, he's the man. But from a business perspective, you're like, where is this man? I'm not gonna cut his checks.
From a business perspective, I'm like, yo, are you okay? Me,
are you good?
Because I care about you. I care about you as a person first. Then what you can do for me financially after. But I want to know what's going on with you as a person. But if you don't have the open communication to talk to me first or holler at me where you gonna be at, then that's when I have a problem. Because Steve Nash didn't know where he's at. Kevin didn't really know where he was at first. Then they kind of mold that over later. But you gotta talk to me, bro. You gotta talk to me a little bit at least, because I can't be paying you all this money, having teammates depending on you, and for you not to be around. So, and also if you're gonna take time off, be active. Do a march or do something. Go.
Be so I know where you are. Keep some tabs and stuff, but. Damn.
But if you're using this because you need a time of reflection, dog, you better hop on that plane, put on those headphones, and do a yoga stance. All right, you better levitate just like you in Marvel vs. Capcom. Do something, because you taking this time off for 2 weeks just because you feel like it. And I know media speculates like when Kawhi Leonard takes time off for load management so he can be prepared for the playoffs. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's not a real basketball player." Back in the '80s, we had to be in the game every day. I did coke before I played. It's like, dude, it's a whole different era. Relax. Like, this brother has to watch his body. He has to taper himself off so that he can be prepared for the long run. But with Kyrie, if you're just gonna bounce like that and you don't really let me know,
it's not fair. You're not fair to your fans. Not fair to your fans. Not fair to anybody.